Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Dino Rivals Attack Pack Dracorex. Really quick, before getting this review, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, we're done with the Fallen Kingdom line. There are some figures that I didn't look at, and I openly chose not to because I feel like I should just focus on dinosaurs that did appear in Fallen Kingdom, so yeah. And I know I reviewed the Herrerasaurus earlier on, but I feel like, as I continued on, I just kind of realized that maybe I should just stick to the figures that, did appear in the movie. So maybe one day in the future I'll go back and I'll review the, Metriacanthosaurus and all that. But I think as of right now, I think I'm just going to stick with the Dino Rivals line. Also, I know I said I was going to review the Legos, but recently I kind of put them away somewhere, and I can't necessarily find them, so yeah, I just decided to just skip right on over to the, Dino Rivals line. If I ever find them in the future, then I'll definitely go back and review them, but I think as of right now, I think I'm just going to stick with, the Dino Rivals line, so yeah. Anyway, with all that said, let's just get into this. But before we take a look at the figure itself, this figure actually comes with an accessory. And you kind of collectors might, recognize this, but either way, this figure comes with a collector's card. This is a very nice touch. Kind of boring, not gonna lie. It's just a picture of the dinosaur itself, which I'm not gonna lie, I really do like that artwork. Very stylistic. It's not trying to be realistic or anything like that. It's more almost like something you'd see out of a comic book. And again, I really like that, but we have some stats right here, which I think is a little unnecessary, but it's whatever. And on the back, yeah, we don't get a lot. Again, to bring up Kenner, here is a collector's card that came with the Seal of Physis. We have some really nice looking artwork that I actually believe was done by a paleo artist. And of course, this is the Seal of Physis Swarm. We have a very naturalistic scene going on right here, which looks, again, great. And on the back, we do get some facts, which, this goes a long way. This is much better than, this, where it's just, the dinosaur. No, scene or anything like that like we have here, just the dinosaur. And, some stats. And yeah. I don't know about you, but I'd prefer this, but I digress. So, the collector's cards that do come with these figures are kind of bland. At least, it's cool that they actually come with collector's cards, but still, these are just kind of boring in my opinion. Also, I hope you like these, because after the Dino Rivals line, Mattel will no longer do collector's cards. Because the new Primal Attack line has, nothing like this. So, yeah. A little unfortunate. So, yeah. Anyway, that is enough of that. Now, we will be taking a look at the Dracorex itself. And I'm actually kind of surprised with how many species of dinosaurs Mattel has been, making lately. I know I said this in a previous video, but again, something I'll praise Mattel for, it's the fact that they're, doing, more species than just the traditional, T-Rex, Triceratops, and all that. They're, coming out with figures of, species of dinosaurs that even I haven't heard of before, so, yeah, that's honestly really cool. And, of course, I've heard of Dracorex before from Jurassic World Evolution, but, yeah. Anyway, let's just take a look at this. So, first we'll take a look at the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure is not bad at all. So, most of the body is this orangish color, which does look nice. And the underside here is this grayish, whitish color, which again looks nice. And while we're under here, here's the Jurassic World logo and the scan code. Near the back of the figure here, we can see some brown decals, or not really decals, but pattern going on, which does look nice. And we do have some bits of pattern on the front of the face right here. And the eye, or eyes I should say, they are painted yellow with black pupils. The horns on the back of the head are painted the same color as the rest of the body underneath here, so they didn't really paint these themselves, they just kind of used the same color as the underside of the body here, so yeah. Unfortunately, the nails are not painted, which is, again, very unfortunate. I feel like that would have made the painting here a little better, but either way, it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. Again, it would have been nice, but, I feel like it'll be fine without them, so, yeah. And that is pretty much it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure is very good for what it is. Again, I feel like the nail should have been painted, but other than the nails, the painting here still works. So, the painting on this figure, I'd say gets 3/4 of a pass. Now I'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure is actually very good for what it is. Usually with these Dino Rivals figures, or sorry, these Attack Pack figures, usually what we get is just, you know, the arms and legs, but the articulation here is a little bit more advanced than that. This isn't like NECA or SH Monster Arts quality, but still good considering, so yeah. Anyway, the head can look down and up, and can move 360 as well. The head can move down and up like so, and the arms can move 360, as well as the legs, but they can only go 360 backwards, not forwards. And also the tail twists, and that's pretty much it for the articulation. Again, not a lot, but considering the type of figure this is, the articulation here is not bad whatsoever. So the articulation, I'd say, gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure is not bad either. I think this looks very close to how the Dracorex looked in Jurassic World Evolution. Some minor things I will say. I feel like the head is just a little too big. I could be wrong about that altogether, but either way, that might be one thing. But one definite thing I do have a problem with when it comes to the sculpt, I feel like the tail is a little too short. And that kind of causes this figure to not really stand well. I mean, it can stand well on its own, but you do kind of have to play with it a little. Either that, or you could have it like this, but over time it'll fall over. Because I've had many times where I stood this figure up, and then after I left back for college and then came back for a weekend, this figure was just knocked over. So, yeah. Again, if the tail was longer, then I feel like the standing here would have been a little better, but, you know, if you do stand it upright, then it should, you know, permanently stand. So, yeah. But other than that, the sculpting here does look good, so the sculpt gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detail on this figure isn't the best, but it still looks pretty good. So anyway, the head is detailed very nicely. All the bumps and spikes and whatnot are detailed pretty nicely, as well as the beak. Again, everything here looks very nice. And going to the neck here, we can see more of the spikes on the back of the neck and the creasing and whatnot. Again, looks pretty good. Going to the side of the body here, we can see more almost like osteoderms or like bumps on the top here, which are detailed very nicely, as well as the arms here. They don't look too bad. They could look better, but, you know, they're still good for what they are. They are very small, so again, it's understandable. Now the legs here are detailed very nicely. We have a fair bit of musculature here, which again, looks great. And the scaling on the feet look good as well. Or looks good, I should say. Going to the tail, the detailing once again looks great. All of the musculature, all of the bumps and whatnot, everything here just looks great. Well defined, and so on. And that is pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. The detailing on this figure isn't the best compared to other figures that I reviewed here, at least in terms of the Jurassic World line, but the detailing still looks pretty nice, so yeah. So at the end of the day, should you get this figure? Honestly, a lot of these Attack Pack figures by Mattel, I feel like those are a lot better than the, like, you know, most of the bigger figures, so I'd say the Attack Pack figures are not bad, and this figure is definitely no exception. This is a very good figure as well. Again, it's not perfect. There are some things that I definitely could have done differently, but for the most part, you know, this is still a very solid figure, and I do suggest that you do get it. If you do want this figure, it should cost about like $7.99 in stores, so this figure is not expensive whatsoever, so yeah, it definitely wouldn't be the end of the world if you bought this, so yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big this figure is, and here it is next to Dr. Billy Grant. And again, I feel like the Dracorex was a little smaller in Jurassic World Evolution, but either way, here they are. Alright, now that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.